Hi friends, it's Deanna Williston from Our Blooming Catholic Life, and today I'm going to come to you with a review of the Adoremus Hymnal Melody Edition. I want to come back to you this book because I've been using it for several months, and I'm using it in a different way than I first did. So if you remember, I first got this book. It goes back at my birthday, the beginning of the pandemic, and I really wanted it because this is the hymnal that EWTN uses, and I wanted to be able to sing along. They put the hymn number and name up on the screen, and I thought I'd be using it to sing along, like the opening song and stuff. And that's not how I'm using it at all. I almost never sing the songs along in the hymnal. And the reason why is the choir is so darn lovely, and I'm watching the mass with my family. There's no hiding. I'd be the only one singing. So I do kind of sing the songs on my own, and it's great to have for my own use, but I'm not using it for the mass like I thought I would. What I am really using is the order of the mass. And I'm using it because if you remember back when we first got this, we really read the opening pages of the hymnal, and it explained to you why they intersperse Latin with English and exactly what they were doing when they developed this. And so sometimes I need a little bit of help with the Latin, and sometimes I don't. Yes, I have Mother Angelica prayer cards as my bookmarks for different parts. So there are parts that I know really well and parts that I need to flip to. So I have them marked with various markers. There's also yarn labels in here. There's all kinds of things as my little bookmarks. And what I'm using it for, there's 4 Eucharistic prayers. There's a decent amount of priest friars saying the Mass at EWTN. So sometimes I like to follow along, and I'll try and figure out which Eucharistic prayer they're using, but sometimes I realize it's taking me too long. So there's some weeks where I don't even crack the book open once. I'm really following along. I know most of the replies, especially if they're in English, right? Occasionally I'm not 100% sure where we're going because it's like an odd Eucharistic prayer that isn't used often, and I'm not sure when I'm supposed to come in. But sometimes it's just nice to just sit and be in the Mass. Vatican II kind of really started this movement where the people had to participate in the Mass. But what they were missing was they defined participation as yapping. And absolutely we talk to God. Absolutely we sing to God. Absolutely we cry out to God. Do we need to do it at every point of the Mass? No. And yes, sometimes I worship and praise by swaying with my friends. Sometimes I have praise hands. I don't really typically do that in Mass. I do get into the music a little bit and dance a little bit, but I don't generally full out dance in Mass. Now, if I'm walking the dog and there's worship and praise music on, fair game. If I'm doing the dishes, fair game. I tend to dance to worship and praise music throughout my regular day, and in Mass, though, my focus is just so much on Jesus and being present with Jesus. It's a different form for me. For me, it's very much adoration and just contemplation, and I'm in that place. The representation of the Last Supper. Like I'm there, and you don't hear about the apostles jumping up and dancing at the Last Supper. So I don't feel like I'm in horrible company by not having that emotion. So sometimes I set my hymnal aside, and I'm just completely immersed in the experience of the Mass. And sometimes, yes, I'm immersed in the Mass and I say the words, and sometimes I'm immersed in the Mass and I don't say the words. And sometimes I really, really want to look at the exact everything the priest is doing, and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I want to know every word the choir is saying for us. And sometimes, I'm translating the Latin in my head, and sometimes I'm more reading the words. Sometimes I'm contemplating the words. Like, it's always different for me. And am I participating even though I'm not jumping around and singing? Absolutely still participating. Absolutely still in the Mass. So kind of having this hymnal has opened that up to me somehow. But the fact that sometimes I'm in the Latin, sometimes I'm in the English, sometimes I'm in this version, like the Kyrie eleison has many different settings for the chorus, and They may not even be doing these. There's even more later on in the books. They might not even be doing these settings. But sometimes they're singing it and I'm hearing it in my head, another version, and it makes this beautiful, beautiful harmony in my soul, is the only way to describe it. So the Adoremus Hymnal, it's funny because even though I don't use it every single Mass and I don't use it to follow every single word, and I may or may not use it to sing the hymns, this is still one of my favorite books. I crack this open absolutely every Sunday Mass. I find myself occasionally throughout the week. I can get in here. I can get into a hymn, whether or not I sing it. Sometimes, when we do Liturgy of the Hours, you're not allowed to recite the songs. You have to sing them or skip them. I think that's really weird. So sometimes I just like to read the hymns, and I don't think that's any problem with that, especially when they have them in Latin on one page, in English on the other. It's nice to be able to sit and study the translation or see how it goes. Sorry, there's a Mother's Day card tucked in the back too. That is how much I love this book. I even have my Mother's Day card tucked in here. So there are a number of hymns, that are in Latin and English, and it's very helpful for me to have this around. I love this hymnal. I don't think I don't know if my husband is thrilled with the purchase because he may not be seeing me using it how I said I intended to in the beginning, but I'm in love with this hymnal. It's a beautiful book, worth every penny. I do think we got it from the EWTN religious catalog. That's it, folks. It's a small investment. It's beautiful, beautiful for your faith. It's good in Mass. It's good out of Mass. It is a beautiful, beautiful book. God bless.